जादू मंतर, जादू मंतर, जादू मंतर। You are going into the future.
You talking to me?
They always be these cheap clothing.
என் பேர் மாணிக்கம். எனக்கு இன்னொரு பேர் இருக்கு.
Talking to me?
The queen is dead.
Hello. Welcome to Queen's Dead. Today we have Dhruv with us, who's the host now, and Ashwani, who's the guest. Ashwani Kumar Tiwari, who's a writer for High on Films.
Hi Sanjay.
Ashwani, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, man, it will be my pleasure. This is Ashwani. I am very enthusiastic about cinema, and I write about films. Apart from that, I aspire to be a filmmaker myself. So that will be my journey in the long run. But currently, I am only a writer, writing on films, trying to be a film critic. So yeah.
So you didn't start out to become a film critic, right? You just started it just purely because of your love for the film.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. Actually, back then I was kind of, a jerk. I read some article. Okay, back then I was also a very die-hard DC fan, and Infinity War had released, and this guy Nafis Ahmed, who's the admin and founder of High on Films. So he wrote a review on Infinity War, and he thrashed Batman vs Superman unnecessarily, which I felt back then. So I just corrected his grammar, and I told him that you have written it in haste. It seems like you just wrote it in one go. So he was very kind enough, although he reached out to me. He asked me to correct him, which we had a conversation, and then he asked me to write on Arjun Reddy. So back then I was just part of this this group, Film Companion, and Arjun Reddy, Kabir Singh was about to get released, and in the making, and Arjun Reddy was on fire, and he must have seen me hating on the film somewhere. So he just asked me to write it, and it was like, okay, I have never done this before, so this can be a challenge, let me do that. And I did it, and I was pretty convinced with what I wrote. So I thought, why not maybe write it more. And there were some perks associated with being a film reviewer for High on Films. They used to give you screeners and everything. So I was sold into that. But in the long run, I somehow realized that this is something I can do, so I'm doing it. And now I won't call myself a film critic, I'm just a writer. I'm trying to be a film critic. Criticism is a very different ball game altogether. So probably I'm trying that, but
No, your writing is very good, Ashwani. Just to encourage you for that. There's no you're very good for whatever you write. So, from whatever I've read.
Yeah, even I've quite liked a lot of your reviews in general. I mean, recently, what did you write for? You'd written something specifically for some film, right? Like a long review.
Yeah. So my frequency of writing has reduced recently, but I wrote for New York Asian Film Festival. There is this beautiful Tibetan film, A Song for You.
Okay.
It's produced by Jia Janke. And if I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing his name right. And
it's all right.
Coming from Tibet, it's a very and Tibet, that is occupied by mainland China, not the autonomous Tibet. So the film is very interesting. Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably get to see it in the next 2 years, I'm guessing, because it takes that long, right, to actually get a release for those films.
Yeah.
Maybe this year only, because that film originally came last year, so you won't have to wait for that. Yeah.
Probably it'll pop on you. Okay, but anyway, today we are talking about this one personality, this one director who's had a huge tectonic shift in terms of quality and the kind of films that he's started making. That man being Anubhav Sinha, right? So most of us, I don't know, you guys have seen his earlier films. I'm sure you might have. But early 2000s, nobody used to specifically pick out directors when they used to watch films, right? And at that time, these films were a huge rage, at least in the early 2000s, is what I remember. One being Thus, and the other being Tumbin, which had like massively famous music, with like T series music, which was like the rage, the cassette rage, right? So he was making films like those, and then he went on to make films like Cash and those like the super blockbuster failure bomb.
Mummy Bhagwan.
It
Ravan.
wasn't that much of a bomb.
And
Cash was a bigger bomb, probably, no?
it bombed, right? Like it made
It
100
was
crores,
made
but
for like
then I think
150. kind of
overall,
types, yeah.
yeah, if it's made for 150 crores, you can't
Not
call
a-
114 crore film.
Not a profitable film.
Not a profitable film.
Considering what
The
went into it.
diplomatic term.
Yeah.
And then he's gone on to make this sort of trilogy of social issue films in a way, which have been Mulk, Article 15, and Thappad. So yeah, initial thoughts on Anubhav Sinha as a director, and then we'll move on to Mulk. Yeah, Ashwini, you go ahead.
One thing that we missed when we talk about pre 2015 Anubhav Sinha is this film Tathastu, which is a remake of
Tathastu, right? Yeah, with Sanjay Dutt. Yeah.
And I remember watching it in childhood, and I think I found that film very interesting, considering. But then again, today only I know that okay, this was a remake, but back then, okay, this
Exactly.
was a good deal. And then there was Cash.
Yeah.
Cash
Whatever
is
that
lovely. Oh god.
I think I am one of those which I mean I don't mind Ravan that much. It's not like I have a certain dislike for it. It's fine.
No, even I don't dislike Ravan. I'm just telling it in terms of like the general perception of that film.
Some of the things were good in
Yeah.
the film actually.
Yeah.
I mean, the music is very good. I mean, to me at least, the music is very nice. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Even some of the CG was really good.
I'm
CG, I think
I'm
a
inclined
lot
to
of
that.
people haven't been able to replicate. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, I am inclined to that. What you are saying. Some of the CG was really good, considering
Yeah,
the
yeah.
standards. It didn't feel tacky.
got it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare it to one of its contemporary films, I guess Robot. In Robot, it was still tacky, but
Yeah,
Yeah. It came a year later after Robot only, I think.
yeah. VFX is good with like Red Chilies did the VFX, is it? Or did they bring in someone else?
I'm not sure
Okay,
Red Chilies
got it.
was established back then, but yeah, might have been.
And then his other films are what? Thus,
He did Tumbin.
I
too,
have
right?
never seen Tumbin 2, very honestly. Yeah.
Tumbin too, yeah.
I went to a theater to watch Tumbin
Your-
because I'd do anything not
Your
to
dedication.
study for exams. Yeah. Okay, Dhruv, you.
I mean,
you go ahead.
what pre his social issue films. He's
Yeah, or like in general, like
just
what's-
I think it's the whole thing, right? When you see, I remember seeing. We'll go into Mulk after this, of course, but like I remember seeing Mulk for the first time and being like, "What? How did this director, who I know from Cash, because Cash is so memorably like bad almost, because it has like animation sequences because they couldn't film the chase sequences and all that. So like it's just absurd, right? And I was like, he was probably on like my memory of him was so low at that time that when it came out, I was like, oh, that's did not expect that. And then he basically made these 3 films in 3 years. And it's like someone like and I think I've written about it once that like it's like everything in the country went wrong and like some like an angry old man kind of almost woke up because of that. It's like someone's sensibilities were shut down, but immediately and I think he gives a lot of credit to other male auteur filmmakers like Shudit Sarkar, I guess, is an auteur, if you want to put him like that. And then Vishal Bhardwaj,
Even
Anurag
Anurag
Kashyap,
Kashyap.
all of them get like
Vishal,
thanks in all his
Hansal
films.
Mehta.
So I'm guessing they all.
But he came late. Sinha came late.
Yeah.
I agree with when you say that this old man had his sensibilities, disturbed or something like that. But so probably, this is an interesting observation that he was inspired, somehow motivated by his contemporaries.
No, yeah. So I think it's just, I think, and now of course it's easy to say. I think in his interviews he's consistently also emphasized the whole. I always wanted to make these films, like that anger and passion. Now, of course, it's very easy to say because also retrospect, mein, his career trajectory has been like this. That it's one of those when you see a graph which goes from like bottom to like up. It's just like. And we can argue about it. We'll definitely argue about what his new 3 films and how each of them kind of approaches their subjects. But yeah, like it's just to me, it's like this is at least him now, and I guess that's worth championing. Sort of, yeah.
Sort of.
But
But yeah, I think like filmmakers like these are sort of like an anomaly from
Yeah.
where they've started and to actually making like good films in a way. Like I mean,
Yeah.
obviously subjectivity with
I somehow disagree on the trajectory thing. I think there is a trajectory, of course, and there is, I guess, what you
Yeah.
call a turning point. But that is, I don't think that happened in terms of quality. I think that happens in terms of political sensibilities more. So he somehow had a political awakening, if you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Quality is debatable.
yeah,
I mean,
I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. I've not done like a deep dive of Anubhav Sinha as of such. But there was always this case when The Big Short released with Adam McKay, and then everyone was like, "Go watch the other guys." It had a lot of material which actually led to the stuff that was in The Big Short. Like it had a lot of like about financial losses, etc. I'm not sure if Tum Bin 2 or Cash had a subtext about any of these things, but I'll be very interested to look into them and find like a subtext somewhere.
okay, am I supposed to take it as a recommendation, the other guys? Because I'm a huge
The Big
fan
Short.
of Big
I-
Short. Yeah,
I've
I'm a huge
heard.
fan
See,
of Big Short.
I don't remember. I don't
I
remember the
love
other guys that
Other
much,
Guys.
but I know that a lot of people were basically like he's brought the subtext of like there is evidence of him using like the financial crisis and distress in the background in that film, and in The Big Short he basically like goes for it, which I also really like The Big Short actually. Just to put it out, I know it gets hate recently a lot, so yeah.
If you like that whole Will Ferrell Adam McKay combination of films, no, if you've like seen Anchorman and stuff like that, then the other guys is like absolutely hilarious in that sense.
But one moment, people are hating on Big
Fair
Short.
amounts.
I mean, this
I
is
think
the
people hate on
revelation.
Adam McKay's style.
Yeah.
If
Now
you
they
hate
do.
Bombshell, I get it, but I don't get the. hate for
I
Big
think
Short.
it's
No,
Oh,
he
Vice,
made something else
which
like
I also
that,
didn't like,
Vice,
to be honest.
Vice. Yeah, I liked it, but I was like not a huge fan of that
Got
kind
it.
of the
I
stuff that he was
actually
trying to
think
do, actually.
Ashwini, at least from whatever I've read of The Big Short, it's like his style is too loud. From whatever I've heard, like read, which is the criticism is that his filmmaking is too in your face, because he has the whole intercutting and he has the whole diversions, right? Margot Robbie in a bathtub and Selena Gomez playing poker with like whatever. So like he's got like those flippy, which I enjoy. I know, but I know some people have a problem with.
I wish we were talking about that. Sir.
We'll talk about it sometime for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Go ahead, Sanjeet.
But
Your
yeah,
time. Your
Anubhav
turn
Sinha.
about Anubhav Sinha and his legacy.
No, but just in general, like my thoughts being whatever, like he feels like an anomaly. Like usually you don't have filmmakers, especially in Hindi cinema, who usually filmmakers go from like good to bad, right? In most cases, right? Like how it went with Subhash Ghai and Imtiaz Ali or whatever you want.
It went with everyone. Anurag Kashyap.
More or less.
And
More or less. But then here you see a filmmaker who's generally not made really good films to go into making like good films. It feels like a huge change. It happened with
He's a
Hansel Mehta
weird
also kind of.
trajectory.
But
that
Hansel
guy.
Mehta,
Hansel Mehta is weird, and so is Vishal.
Oh,
Bhatt.
I'm a
these
big
people
Vishal
are-
Bharadwajite, so I will argue you on that. But we'll do it in a Vishal Bharadwaj.
But then
conversation.
even you can't deny the fact that there are hiccups in his
So
filmography.
no,
Minor-
I can't deny the fact that his films are very divisive. I think the later ones, I know Rangoon, maybe only I and a couple of other people like, kind of like that. But yeah, I mean, again, I can understand why people don't like his films, like the recent ones especially. but yeah,
Yeah.
like Pataka also is
Pataka is
Pataka,
one I
but
love.
I know some people don't
Yeah,
like
again,
it
I like
because it's so
Pataka.
repetitive. I know it's by nature, but like,
Yeah, exactly.
but no, Rangoon, I know not many people liked.
That's
I remember
right.
watching it in the cinema alone, and
Yeah, even I watched it.
I disliked
alone,
it
more or
so
less.
much that I
really,
didn't
I
even
think
watch
it's very ambitious. Honestly, like I think it's a super ambitious film.
It is.
And I know
Yeah.
saying that a film is ambitious is not equal to it being good, but like I quite liked it. But
sort of dig that whole
then the
idea.
queen is dead, right? Like actual queen is dead, so it's better not to revisit any of those memories.
I wish we had this conversation
I
2
know.
years back so that I could have watched Rangoon.
No,
But now
no.
I can't make myself
Yeah.
watch Rangoon because of which person is.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
My queen, come on, Sanjeet.
I know. I was,
Dead. You
I
have
was
to
thinking
get
on a
it.
different tangent altogether.
Okay, no.
No,
Go
no.
ahead. So are we jumping on to Mulk now after
Yeah,
all our
let's move on to
diversions?
Mulk. Yeah.
Finally.
एक्यूज बिलाल और इस फैमिली ने एक बच्चे को शहादत के लिए तैयार किया, उसे आतंकवादियों से मिलवाया। इनका पूरा परिवार ही इस आतंकवादी साजिश का हिस्सा है।
ऑब्जेक्शन माय लॉर्ड, अभी तक कोई भी चार्जेस प्रूव नहीं हुए हैं।
ये घर है मेरा, क्या कहूँगा मैं अपने आप से कि मैं देशद्रोही हूँ? हम केस यहीं लड़ेंगे।
ये धर्म के नाम पर निर्दोष लोगों की हत्या करते हैं और बाद में कहते हैं कि हर मुसलमान ऐसा नहीं होता। तो फिर कौन कैसा है, ये कौन बताएगा?
देखी है आपके घर की दीवार, पाकिस्तानी लिखा है वहाँ।
पाकिस्तानी लिखेंगे ना? अगर कुछ घर आज भी पाकिस्तान के जीतने पर पटाखे बजाएंगे तो
इनके समाज में बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा हैं, तो परिवार के किसी एकाध सदस्य को जिहाद के काम पे लगा दिया जाए।
Ashwini, you go ahead with Mulk. It's okay.
So yeah, I mean, I share this sentiment. When I watched Mulk, I'll be honest, I knew it is Anubhav Sinha, but back then I didn't knew that Anubhav Sinha is the same guy who made Tumben or Das or everything else. I only knew that okay, he made Ravan, now he's having a comeback and now he's making this film. And I thought, okay, this is very good. This is good in the sense that we'll have the political debate later on, but this is somewhere that you can probably experiment with your strength. From the big budget filmmaking of Das and Ravan to come to this small filmmaking, which is more oriented by characters, which is driven through dialogues. And especially when you consider Indian cinema, most of the courtroom dramas feel very loud in nature. So is Mulk. I mean, in retrospect, Mulk is also loud. But I think when I watched it the first time, I somehow appreciated it because even with all its preachiness, it was hitting the right, hitting the right nails. Now my thoughts have changed a bit because I think again it's very loud, but
It is.
its loudness
Yeah.
does not mean that it is radical. It's very soft in nature. And when I say soft, I want to point out on this fact that whenever Hindu filmmakers, I mean people who were born Hindu, I don't know whether they identify themselves or not, but when they try to take narrative that has anything to do with the persecution of minorities, be it Muslims or Dalits, what problem that happens is that they try to somehow talk about the binary. Okay, this is a certain mold in which I will form a character that will fit the mold of a good minority, ideal minority, and then I will present this case to you. You are my audience. I'll present this case that okay, these kind of people exist, so you should love and you should care for the minority. You should know. What I think that when you somehow take out this entire religion thing out of it, I mean, why should you be why should you be sensitive to a minority just because that person is faithful or just because he or she is fitting into the right mold? I mean, but it should not be binary. That is my whole argument. It should not be that binary. Right?
So wait, I'm just binary in the sense that As in, like, it shouldn't be that they follow one religion and they are part of one religion, or is it the fact that that the one religion is portrayed as good and one is bad, kind of like that?
When I say binary, I mean that good Muslim, bad Muslim. There are bad
Got
apples
it.
in the basket. Everest
Got it.
I mean that. What if these are normal people? What if they are not faithful?
Yep.
What if they don't care much about? They have a name associated, but
There's no introspection in terms of characters, like, like deep diving into like if he's good or bad type thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, the entire story revolves around a family in which one of the young person turns out to be radical extremist and a terrorist in political terms, and then the entire family faces this situation. Now I get this plot. I get this plot thoroughly because this happens a lot, and obviously this is the reaction that people will give, and you have to make a case for that. But when it comes to proving, then the person who's standing in the the box in the courtroom, the family member, you should not have to make a case that he should not have to prove that he is patriot and he is this and this. He can just be a human and still he will be entitled to everything because he has
Wasn't that the whole argument also inside the courtroom also, that why should he prove his patriotism?
It was, but that is happening only through the that is happening vocally. I would appreciate if that happened in subtext.
Okay.
Achha,
Yeah, but
I mean, that's like criticism in terms of filmmaking also.
Yeah, and just take out Taapsee Pannu Hindu lawyer character out of it. I mean, just keep the entire family Muslim. What if the entire family is Muslim? It does not have to be, that tolerant. It does not have to be tolerant. It can be a normal Orthodox family and still it will be entitled to the, what I'm saying.
Of course it.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just going to cut in just because I think, I know that a lot of people, and when we get to Thappad, we'll get to this because I think this will repeat itself. But one of the interesting things, and I rewatched it like 2 days back, Mulk, I think it's very interesting sometimes that he constructs these Taapsee Pannu type characters, right? She's the Hindu female lawyer here, which to me is always like when we talk about intersectionality in terms of gender, race, caste, etc. And we talked this year we have Gili Pucci, which very tenderly addresses it all in a way, I think. To me, in this sense, when he's putting forward this fact that the Muslim family can't even fight to prove themselves, like, to me it's also a sense where I'm like, oh, so is this a way of also saying that there are these hierarchies, right? Where it exists in a sense that a female Hindu lawyer can have more power in this society, in this sort of Islamophobic society, than a Muslim proven lawyer in his own community. So something like that. See, I'm looking at it more generously. It's also because I think, and it's very strange, right? I've been asking myself this question while watching most of his films. Why in his films does the speeches, the preachiness never feels to me like it is, of course, a way of telling the audience something very clearly, right? It's like, you should do this. It is basically saying that. And I think one of the strangely effective sequences, at least in the film to me, is when she goes to everyone, when Taapsee goes to everyone in the courtroom and is like, and she says that ye log, which is basically the audience, jo aapke in jokes pe has rahe the. So it's basically, it's very deliberately almost, I don't think it even has a fourth wall. It's basically breaking it very consistently, right?
It becomes meta, but then the moment it becomes meta, isn't it also becoming, patronizing in some way?
It is patronizing, but I also think that if you're not patronizing with these sentiments and issues to a commercial audience, don't you kind of isn't there a risk of miscommunicating a message? Like, this is again me justifying something that's probably a sloppy filmmaking choice almost, right? Because it's like, yeah, but then I think a lot of times you use like slightly distancing devices, like whatever Brechtian devices or whatever fancy word one wants to use for it, to inform the audience about something they probably won't think about. And I think what the courtroom drama, at least in Mulk's case, does sometimes for me is that it allows Anubhav Sinha to basically be so loud and clear about something.
I mean, that is the whole thing with court dramas.
Yeah, exactly. It allows you to be like, it doesn't make it feel as preachy as it would if it was done outside the courtroom. I think the courtroom is very effective that way.
It's a very good cinematic.
Actually, I think the opposite. I think if you were not making a courtroom drama, if you were making a family drama which is going through this crisis, then you have a better window to observe things. And I'll make a case by pointing out one filmmaker who has done it before and who has done it in a way better manner, and that is Govind Nihalani. So Govind Nihalani did not bring the battle into the forefront by preaching the audience. I mean, he did not...
You're talking about Akrosh.
I am talking about... Okay, let's talk about Akrosh. I mean, that is the best way you can think of, because there is a lawyer, there is a marginalized person. The lawyer is also acting as a savior. But the role is never taken because it is more of an observational piece, whatever is happening. Okay, and it never goes into the court. I mean, there is a court scene, but it is not playing to render a certain lecture or render a certain lesson to the audience. It is only playing to make a sense of the situation, whatever is happening. And there is such a clever choice when he makes this Ompuri character intentionally mute. I mean, he's not mute, but he's not speaking.
Almost mute, yeah.
That is astounding, because that acts as an allegory, right? And that also prevents Nihalani to take the role of a savior, because what he's trying to do is that, I mean, he's playing it very safe and he's also being radical. I mean, that is something to learn from. I have learned it. I mean, I will keep him in mind whenever I try to make a political film. But problem with Sinha, what I was saying...
I was just saying that Sinha is mostly, giving it into to the trappings of the commercial nature of the film. I don't know if that's purely any other reason.
No. I was coming to that only, actually. What I'm trying to say is that the commercial audience of today's time is ready for much more immediate consumption. I agree. But when Govind Nihalani was making films, he was actually distributing in a regular channel. So you can't say that he was a purely art house filmmaker or independent. He was somewhere there. He was in the middle, like Rishikesh Mukherjee or Basu Chatterjee. He was making films for the middle section. Now Anubhav Sinha is making this choice. Then why does he have to think of the commercial, trappings? He can take the middle road. I mean, he has already decided to take the middle.
No, I think it is. I honestly think it is the middle road. I mean, it's just that the middle road is different than Govind Nihalani's. I agree that I agree with you. I agree with Ashwani that this is in no ways a more radical aesthetic or film than a lot of other films that attempt to address this. But I think in contemporary filmmaking and movie making, I think especially the way the political situation is right now and the way everything is going, I think it's just the sense that maybe time will not look as kindly on Mulk or Article 15. I think Thappad maybe has a staying power that these two films might not have. But I think it's the sort of in the moment feeling of because I remember when I first saw it, at least I was like, wow, like someone is really going for it. And I think I understand what you mean actually. But I think one thing the confrontational style sometimes accomplishes actually, especially in this way, is like it's really like that thunder or like rage. Maybe it's the rage. It's the rage in his sort of it's like something you really really want to say, and maybe that's what gets to me. It's like listen to me, like it's like holding someone's shirt and like shaking them up and being like, you have to listen to me, kind of like that. And I'm just like, I am listening, go ahead.
Problem
speak.
Is that
like
it does whatever you are saying is right. Actually, it does shudder you, but then it does not stay. It's like a ripple vanishing into oblivion after a while, because like you said, these two films will not grow with time. People will not look kindly on them.
Yeah.
Article 15 may too, but yeah, that's a different conversation.
Next conversation.
But I am very sure that people will not look back at Mulk kindly, because when I watched it, it was really confrontational. It shook me, and then kind of taking this into account. And okay, you are a privileged community, so just learn this. And I got it. But then now when I look back at Mulk, I think that okay, when you made the case for this, you tried to portray that okay, this is an ideal family that you should feel sympathy for, because they are tolerant. They have a Hindu bahu. They are letting their Hindu bahu go out and be a lawyer. They are doing all this. They are breaking your prejudices against Muslims. You have a prejudice that Muslims don't do this and this and this, and they are tolerant in that way. But now I want to ask the film that what if majority of our Indian society, people are not that liberal and tolerant, and they don't have to be. It's a very normal situation. They will grow with time. Time will educate people, make them aware, be it Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, or anyone.
I think you're being very generous.
But what I'm trying to say is that I'll go back to my initial argument that what if the lawyer is not a Hindu, it's just a household bahu, typical bahu, and this family is also orthodox. Then what if should my sentiment change? Should I stop feeling sympathy?
But then that's looking
I
at
think
the
it's like a fatalist film. Like then it's like I would argue is that the idea is that if that is the case, and I think the film kind of implies the fact that to have this, and this is me again kind of projecting almost, but it's just that the fact that a Hindu character is there to serve justice to them, and the fact that justice is served only when she is in place, to me that's also a commentary on the fact that it is stacked up in an order where what you said, if that was the case, then that would have never come true. Like the happy ending wouldn't have actually ever come.
No,
that
but then
that's
then it's not self-critical in that regard. Now, what you are saying can hold as an interpretation.
But the film, but then when you're viewing this film, right, shouldn't it be more like what that film really is rather than what it could have been? Right.
I'm not saying
because
that film
that
should
what
have
if
been
factor
that.
can take that film into different places, into different routes anyway, right?
No, I agree.
Like how you like.
I agree to that. I'm not saying that film should have been that. I am just saying that what you are doing as a writer, it's convenient choices. When I think of when I am a writer, when I think of writing a film, so my convenient choices would be putting up characters who are just of the privileged community as me, like myself, right? And I won't take the challenge. I will keep a very token representation of diversity in my friend characters around the protagonist. These are very convenient choices writers make. For anything else than that, they will have to do some research. They will have to put into more effort. And I am just challenging that idea. Why should writers take a comfortable position? Okay, let me write a Hindu lawyer because that will be easy for me to do. Right, that will be easy for me to play this savior.
But don't you put that in context that whatever he was making before he made Mulk made him make those kind of choices just to get there before actually revving it up before driving away.
I get that, and that's why whenever I criticize a certain film, I just say that the criticism will stay with the film. It will not cancel it out. Film will stay, the criticism will also stay, so people can argue on that, and I'm open to that also, right?
Well, I actually, now that we've talked so much about the kind of portrayals of like Taapsee Pannu's character and other people, what do you actually think of the Rajat Kapoor character? Because that's my and Sanjeet's probably favorite character in the film.
It's my favorite character of the film.
Now that you reminded me of it, then I can recollect, and I get why you would call it.
I'm not going to put you on the spot. We can speak first.
Post the film. And that doesn't happen a lot. That like a very not the central character stays with me most of the time. But then a character like Rajat Kapoor wasn't a part of the central stage, but still that character stayed with me. The whole idea of a person belonging to one community and almost kind of hating on his own community. Not hating is too extreme.
It is self-hatred, I think.
Yeah,
honestly.
but
Like, I think it's
that is such an interesting idea, right? Of how you put that character, and then that whole idea of putting him in that whole spotlight and making him introspect his whole idea about his religion or anything, his community or himself.
In a way, it's like not introspecting, but little introspecting, because he's whatever supporting character. But I think it's one of those things which is effective because and I think that's what Ashwani was getting at, like complicated choices as characters. And I think in this case, in Mulk, actually the supporting characters I think have more complexity than some of the central ones. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Taapsee Pannu's character is almost worthless for me as like as probably a viewer. I don't remember anything about her. I don't even remember that character's name also.
Same.
Yeah.
But then I remember Rajat Kapoor's character's name, which was Danish.
And Manoj Pawar, actually, I remember him the most.
Yeah. He was like really good.
Bilal.
Like proper breakout.
He has one scene with
in a sense.
one scene with Rishi Kapoor that is genuinely, like, I watched it the second time also, and it's so effectively heartbreaking because it's like you really get the idea, and again it's going to like specificity of their family relationships, right? And this also goes back to portraying them as human, or them, the sort of us and them kind of. I'm kind of doing it now, but portraying the characters as human, and I think that really adds to them as people, and like just making them everyone actually in the supporting characters as more humane.
But then,
in that sense.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Ashwani, go ahead.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add this point that my biggest concern is actually I feel very uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable now, and for other films that I watched when I did not have this political maturity, I feel comfortable in retrospect whenever a person from the privileged community takes the narrative of a marginalized community, and when he or she does that, they forget to think in the lines that they belong to the oppressed community and they take the role of a savior. So I feel very uncomfortable watching those kind of narratives now because they don't feel true to me. I'll be honest on that.
I understand that. Honestly, I myself struggle with that sometimes, which is why I think someone like Zoya Akhtar's, like my favorite films of hers, generally are restricted to the ones about the upper middle class and the film industry. Because I think those very those feel very personal. They feel like they are something. Because they are something that feels close to home to her the most, in a sense. But then my question always in that sense is, can we never have someone looking at another person's perspective? Like, it's one of those very strange things where it's like, are we limiting ourselves in the sense that if the privileged just look at the privileged, then what are we left with?
My argument differs. What I am trying to say is that I'm not saying that you don't do this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that be conscious of the role that you are taking. So you are a white man. You are a white man. Don't make your protagonist the savior of the film. Make him the oppressor. Right? Don't take the role of a savior. That is what I'm saying. Take the role of the oppressor because you belong to that.
This will lead very well into
Article 15. Exactly my point. So exactly my thought. Not exactly like I don't agree.
So we've transitioned, right?
मैं और तुम इन्हें दिखाई ही नहीं देते. हम कभी हरिजन हो जाते हैं, कभी बहुजन हो जाते हैं. बस जन नहीं बन पा रहे हैं कि जनगण मन में हमारी भी गिनती हो जाए. इंसाफ की भीख मत मांगो, बहुत मांग चुके.
कजन थी दोनों लड़कियां, दोनों में संबंध था, दोनों के बाप मिलकर लटका दिए.
तीसरी बच्ची का है?
हाँ सर, उसका कुछ पता नहीं चल रहा.
ये भी दलित है क्या? तुम्हें एक हीरो चाहिए अदिति.
हीरो नहीं चाहिए आयान, बस ऐसे लोग चाहिए जो हीरो का वेट ना करें.
एफआईआर लिखी अब तक?
सर केस इतना सीरियस लग नहीं रहा था सर.
कब लगता सीरियस?
इन लोगों के तो झूठे केसेस आते रहते हैं सर.
ऑनर किलिंग है.
हमारी लड़कियों का हत्या हुआ है साहब, और हम ही पे केस बना रहे हैं साहब.
अंशुना ने आप थप्पड़ मारा था पूजा को. दिहाड़ी में 3 रुपए बढ़ाने को बोली थी वो लोग.
कितने रुपए?
3 रुपए।
क्लोज है सर।
यंशु नाहरिया कौन है?
औकात में नहीं रखेंगे सर, काम ही नहीं कर सकते।
और औकात क्या है?
जो हम देते हैं वही औकात है सर। खेतों में नहीं मिलेगी सर, 3 दिन हो गए।
क्या लगता है आपको मिलेगी भी या नहीं? किसने किया है?
मान जी के आश्रम के लड़के हैं सर।
कौन है मोहन जी?
मान जी हैं।
ऊंची जात के?
ब्राह्मण है सर।
जाटव जी आप दलित हैं?
जी सर।
मतलब इन लड़कों की और आपकी सेम जाती है?
नहीं सर, मैं चमार हूँ, ये पासी हैं।
तुम क्या हो?
मैं कास्ट हूँ सर।
मैं क्या हूँ?
आप ब्राह्मण है सर।
मतलब मैं और मोहन जी सेम?
अरे नहीं सर, वो कान्ने कुछ ब्राह्मण है, वो सबसे टॉप वाले होते हैं। आप सरयू पारी।
What the fuck is going on here?
But like that whole integration of Tapsi's character has already been criticized by you guys, and even I sort of don't remember. But I kind of thought the integration of Ayushman's character, which is Ayan, like an outsider, belonging to upper caste, enters this whole drama, right? Like I thought, like my thought being, the integration of that character in that whole drama was more organically done, first of all. And that also gave into the lens, I've spoken to Ashwani also about this before, but the whole lens, the whole idea about me also observing like Ayushman's character being me as I observe the whole drama happening around me. So I kind of,
he's the audience conduit.
Audience, yeah. So I kind of like that whole idea where I was put in almost sort of in that position in that whole investigation, because I was discovering everything that happened with Ayushman's character throughout the film. Even be it whatever the cast thing is happening, because although I am aware, because I live in UP, I still want this character to explore more, because I'm enjoying, because this character is new to this place. So that kind of an idea, when like from a writing perspective, I thought was really well done. But you guys, like, I don't know if you guys differ in that sense.
Ashwani, you can go first. I have faint memories of articles.
I'm actually very eager to rip the film apart because so
go ahead.
So what I was wanted to say that this integration that you're talking about, I think there is a huge difference between the social and financial position of the protagonist and me as an audience, you as an audience, and I cannot expect the same naivety that we have for him to have. Okay, I cannot expect that from an IPS. I mean, that is you fucking pass the UPSC, which is unimaginable, and then you are the naivety does not land, right? So had the protagonist been a constable, a regular constable, that would have been believable. Had the protagonist been somehow the father of the girl, something like that, that would have been believable. But here we have a, not just privileged protagonist, but also someone who has political power. Obviously, there are other people who are relatively more powerful. That is a different case. But the naivety does not land. And then again, I am talking about the savior role that is being taken. I would prefer that you take you make the protagonist. Again, this will go back to the thing that, okay, don't judge a film for what it should be. Judge a film for what it is. But then I'll still make the case. I'm just trying to say that take a person from the marginalized community who's trying to better things, because it's in all likelihood the IPS IAS who is being posted in that area can also be from the marginalized community. It's not that an anomaly, right? It's not an anomaly. That person can be, and that person
is he of the highest? Is he of the highest upper caste in the film?
I think this is like the second. The highest one is like that guru aspect, right? That whole Mahant.
I mean, they make that.
I don't remember that well.
They actually try.
But anyway, he's like almost the highest.
If you go by the Varna, then historically they belong to the dominant caste, and then they do this Gotra thing, and then they come into the hierarchy of Gotras. But that is still something else. What I'm trying to say that. Okay, so I'll compare this film with a very, very, there is this animated film, Israeli animated film, Waltz with Bashir. right?
Oh, I love someone mentioning that movie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I also love that film, but something similar happens in that film as well, because this guy, this person or the protagonist involved with Bashir, he is Israeli Defense Forces person who's claiming to have forgotten the memory, right? His memory, and he thinks that him and his group carried out a massacre, because he keeps on getting these flashbacks. So he has this guilt that he wants to tread upon, but then again he's claiming that he has forgotten everything. So when he claims that he has forgotten everything, or when this person Ayushman Khurrana in Article 15 coming from this guy this background and says that I don't know caste, right? So you are basically trying to absolve yourself before you even start, right? An absolution is happening in the subconsciousness. Please absolve me. I'm not a part. I am an outlier. I'm just trying to look into the situation. So please come with me and look with me, right?
I'm just going to say about Wall Street Bashir is, to me, it's always been about PTSD in any case. Just the fact that it's...
That's why that film is great. Still great. I mean, that's why that film is still great. Because it is also self-critical. It is absolving.
Yeah, it is. It is very self-critical. I think it is, considering it's about... Sanjeet, watch Wall Street Bashir before we spoil it. But,
so it has a trajectory in which it turns self-critical. But Article 15 does not turn self-critical. Right?
Okay.
I mean, again, I have faint memories of it, to be honest.
Here's my perspective to the whole film. Okay. I liked it when I watched it. I didn't love it. Okay, this is like one of the best films. That wasn't my reaction. But I quite liked the whole aspect that someone made a film like this. Okay. Point being one. Okay. The second thing that I also noticed was they were trying to integrate that cop genre in it, right? Like those angry cops that you've seen in the 70s, which probably might have inspired Anubhav Sinha also, kind of. Being like whatever Amitabh Bachchan used to play, right? So I thought that whole idea of integrating or including like a cop genre and building it around a mystery, that whole thriller aspect. Works really well in all its harmony. I mean, there are issues with the film, which obviously I can talk about them, and talking about a social issue as well. Now we are talking about a mainstream film, right? The mainstream film is any film which is made above 10 crores. Like, let's just assume it. I mean, it's a very loose statement. It doesn't fall under any.
But
category.
Article 15 made a bunch of money, didn't it?
It did make a bunch of money. It wasn't. That is what I'm pointing to.
But it's a mainstream film only, so there is no.
It is a mainstream film, so obviously those strokes have to be broad in terms of there are some. I'm sure you guys must have seen that. Anubhav Sinha interview with Anupama Chopra, where he's talking about those cheese moments, right?
Oh yeah, okay, man.
Right. I mean, so I am trying to understand the psyche of that filmmaker who made that film. Okay. So my point being, he's trying to put all these broad stroke movements in it purely because he wants to reach out to the maximum audience.
Yes.
Got it.
The parts that I liked, I particularly don't have like big problems with those cheese movements, let's say, but the idea of that whole thriller aspect of it, and obviously the acting by Manoj Pava and Kumod Mishra and the other star cast, like
special shout out to Kumod Mishra in general. I think in all the Anubhav Sinha films, he's very, very good.
He's really good.
Even the lawyer in Mulk, and he has like very low-key humor that he adds to all.
He's the judge, right?
He's the judge, sorry, not lawyer.
He's
judge.
The judge.
Lawyer is Ashutosh Rana, who's like a cartoon character.
And then he plays Taapsi's father in Thappad again. So I mean, all three.
That we'll get to. That's one of the loveliest characters actually in the whole Anubhav Sinha.
My point being, I liked Article 15 from. I'm not keeping any moral lenses when I'm watching a film. That's just my way of watching a film. Purely, that film worked on the basis of it being a well-made thriller.
Okay.
I mean, I like vividly remember a lot of things from that film. Like that whole those girls hanging from the tree part was really chilling, at least in the theater. So
it was atmospheric. I won't deny. Actually, I also loved the film when I watched it. And I liked it so much that it made it to my top 25 films of the year list, Indian films of the year list. I made a list. I curated a list for Hyun films, and it is still there. I am not running away from my past. I am just keeping it there, so I can argue that yes, I liked it back then. It has only grown stale.
Got it. Yeah, of course, makes sense. I mean, I actually, so Sanjeet, it's good that you bring in this point about the genre film and like the whole social message integration, which is like one of my favorite things to watch ever in film, right? Like one of my favorite films of last year's Knives Out on last year, whatever. And I think that film kind of has that ability to combine these two things quite well. Even though it has broad strokes, of course it does. It's like a Cluedo game, but like it has like the whole specificity of class deconstruction and like ethnicity.
I mean, it is obvious in a sense. It's not subtle.
It is. Yeah. But it's whatever. I think that's integrated well. To me, Article 15 always didn't have that balance actually. That's why I actually never clicked with it. I always thought that it was the film in which the social issue kind of superseded the genre elements. Like I never remember being interested in the mystery only. Like I remember the speeches. And I mean, I like the speeches, but like I just remember those. I don't remember anything apart from that.
I thought that film would, like they were like, while watching the film for the first time, I thought that film could have ended at so many points, but it doesn't. Like it is trying to redeem those characters and like that whole happy ending aspect for you.
Particularly remember the ending. I kind of cringed. It is like a joke on the highway ka side or something.
Right, exactly.
And it ends with
And
I was
I don't cringe, but I don't like that part either.
I mean, I we'll get to it even in Thappad, but I think just the nature of Anubhav Sinha's films, like whatever issues he's tackling, to me, the ending always is like false happy ending. Like it's like we have to put a happy ending. Because like,
I mean, that is like
the biggest
picture
of
a Bollywood mainstream film, right? When you're operating in whatever 40-50 crores of budget, you have to have that ending, otherwise your film will fail.
But
and it's bound to fail.
Like you said, you would have had that film end at so many points. This film keeps on stopping to give its messages. Let me stop so I can.
No denying in that.
Let me stop so I can throw the garbage outside the police station. Let me stop so I can have a montage of this.
Article 15 fans are going to come for us.
A manual scavenger coming out of that petty glorification of the crumbling state of our society, the ugly pieces, and you glorify it, and okay, this manual scavenger is equal to a soldier. It's like you are making a case to just what do you say, caress the marginalized, that okay, I care for you.
I
mean, my issue with it is also the fact that it just feels like the mystery and that are too like separate. Like to me, they are not as well meshed as like Mulk even, because like Mulk has the whole courtroom drama that like really propels the drama and the message. And Thappad does it, I think, the best out of all of them. And this one, I think, just a little bit doesn't work for me. But I know it's probably the most liked of Anubhav Sinha's trilogy, from what I know.
No, it is hated.
Right?
Trust me, it is hated.
Okay, it is hated.
I know a couple of people who've actually loved Article 15 over Thappad and Mulk. Like I know a lot of people. I'm talking like, let's say like 20-30 people, which is still a lot. but my point being, they've whoever I've spoken to with respect to, I quite remember it had come out in June 2019, right? And post that, like obviously with me and my friends, it's always like talking about film, whatever we've seen recently, right? And I remember it quite vividly that like most of the people who watched it, they really liked Article 15, and a lot of them have hated Thappad.
Okay,
so
that's absurd. But
I mean, I'm just telling what generally people have or have not liked.
No. I'm going by IMDb ratings, which are of course not reliable, but like still like they. No, but they give you like a barometer, right? Of like what people.
Of the general consensus.
Of the general consensus,
No, but that's also, I mean, that's surprising to me if people are still liking Article 15 because all...
I'm not saying they're still liking. I remember that they liked
I
haven't
loved
spoken to them about that film.
Maybe I am also part of those 20-30 people that you are talking about. But then, as I say, it has grown stale for so many people. I remember this. I remember this very good argument that one of my friends made, Shubham Sharma, and he's also a filmmaker. So that's where I started to think upon Article 15 actually. So he said that there is a scene which enrages him because this person, Ayushmann Khurrana, is coming with a printout of the Article 15. Right, and then there is a montage of manual scavenger and then it's putting, and it's basically arguing that just because Constitution is saying that's why you should respect the other individual, otherwise you are not.
I never thought like that.
I mean, is it the real reason? Just because it is written in the Constitution, that's why you should be respectful and mindful of the social.
I mean, there should be more to it, obviously. I mean, that's absolutely.
Isn't it human that you have to care for the other human? Or should a constitution or a religion should argue for that?
I mean, again, I'm saying you're giving too much credit to people for thinking that it's a basic human thing to be kind and respectable. But no, I get what you mean. So can I be the person who gladly admits that he didn't like, or I didn't not like it, but I was cold on Article 15 when it first released. So I'm not in the 20-30 people.
But on to moving to Thappad, which I think all of us have like gladly liked, and whatever.
I think
I'll be honest, I love Thappad. I still love it,
I really like it too.
It's one of the best films that came in the last decade in Hindi cinema.
Section 9 restitution of conjugal rights. ये लीगल नोटिस है आपको घर वापस ले जाने के लिए.
मुझे नहीं जाना है.
What's the real story? His family?
No.
He's having an affair?
No.
You're having an affair?
No.
So just one slap then?
Just a slap? पर नहीं मार सकता.
And that's
I think
that's because Anubhav Sinha is being radical in Thappad. There is no soft politics.
That's fair enough.
And it's also not loud, it's also observational.
Exactly, it is observational. That's the best part about it,
I mean, to be very... So, I don't remember Article 15 as vividly as you guys probably do, but like, I know that there's a trend, at least in Mulk and in Thappad, that, before the main incident happens, right? The society is never perfect, which is one of the things I really like about Anubhav Sinha films, right? Or like these films in general. Just the fact that it's not that incident changes something that's like, it's not just that incident. Like, things weren't perfect before also. Mulk has one instance of it, so it's like whatever, kind of just like, oh, let's just throw in this moment types. Thappad is literally the first 20 minutes. First 20 minutes, I think, are my favorite bits of Thappad, and I really like the film. But the first 20 minutes are so do it so well. The fact that they integrate the fact that these things are all hidden beneath the surface, and they are just waiting to bubble out after the slap actually occurs. And I think that is one of the biggest strengths of it. The fact that it's not the slap that does everything. The slap is just that instigator or catalyst of making whatever was hidden beneath come out. So I guess that's what we are putting on to like the radical side of things, right? It's not that it's not the fact that that one thing has a change. So society and its structures are basically broken from before. It's just one catalyst that kind of ripples its way through different societies, different people and different classes, and we'll get to the class thing because I have a big problem with it.
I know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But go ahead. What do you guys think?
What you are actually saying, it's about implanting memory in a way. I mean, so the argument is that the characters in a film universe exist before the film starts and exist beyond the film's termination, right? So this guy Amrita was her name, right? Tapsi's character.
Amrita, yes.
So Amrita is the protagonist. She has been existing as the wife of that person before the film even started. And she has some memories, right? Which will come like an avalanche once she gets slapped. The conflict will be established back then only. But the memories that will come like an avalanche, those are her personal memories. So how to make it the memories of the audience? So Anubhav Sinha, what you are saying is actually very meritorious, because the montage actually implants memories into the minds of the audience in the first 20 minutes. And we kind of starts to share, we kind of start to have the same kind of memories as her. So when the and with the loud noise of that slap, even the
great scene, by the way, just to
really well directed.
It's a very well directed scene.
Everything comes back rushing not to just Amrita but also us, right? It happens
definitely.
And so probably that is what I wanted to add to what you were saying.
Even I love that film. I think like top 3 films in 2020 or like top 2 of the. Thappad was properly effective in what it was trying to achieve. Like putting it like in simple words, and considering what he'd done in Mulk and Article 15, let's like just my opinion with those films, but there was like a general, like a gradual increase into like in terms of quality to Thappad, and like the whole observational fact, like if you've seen Shujit Sarkar's Piku, right? If you watch Piku again, it's like super well cut. Like it's probably one of the best edited films. Like it just goes from one conversation to another, and it's like super.
Really? Okay, wow.
In a sense, it's one of the best edited films like I've seen, and it's just like one dialogue cut, but it stays observational. It's like very natural to the whole environment it is in, right? And that is exactly what he's like probably taken from like Shujit Sarkar in a way. He's just made it so natural in that sense. It's like you're existing with those characters in a way. It's not like a fly on the wall kind of aspect.
Got it.
But it's more like it's like you're almost living that life. You know the ins and out of the house. You know where that kitchen is. You know that she's going to open a window and cut those leaves for the tea, right? It's just very
the
natural.
routine. The routine.
And that is like how he's like gotten better in terms of like quality, in terms of making the film. Although I have some issues with the way it was shot, which is like a very technical thing which shouldn't be like an issue. But it did bother me while watching it. Not so much the second time. But I really like the
to
film.
be honest,
and also one more thing.
His
before
first two films
there is one moment where it is going to it sort of goes to like a courtroom type of thing, right? And I was really happy that it didn't turn to a courtroom drama for the last 30 minutes. I was happy because like that is like that would have been like an easier hack to preach. But
I honestly think Thappad has one of the most emotionally effective final scenes, and by final scenes I mean the one with Tanvi Azmi, not with her husband. Also good scene, but the Tanvi Azmi scene, I've seen it 5-6 times, and I've gotten emotional each time, and I think that's that's really like effective in the sense that it's the one scene in which she's the most complicated person, like Amrita is, because she's everything in that scene. She's vulnerable, she's emotional, she's strong, she's like I think when we talk about complicated characters, people who are not fit into binaries, like what Ashwani said about good and bad and everything. This is the moment in the film where the person is literally showing everything. Like she is because I distinctly remember one thing, and I've always remembered this dialogue where she's like, she goes from talking very softly about आप अपना ध्यान रखना, आप अपना ख्याल रखना, क्योंकि whatever मैं आपको छोड़ के जा रही हूँ, and everything very things related to what a daughter-in-law is expected to say, and then there's a really sharp turn in the conversation where she goes, पर उस दिन आप लोगों में से कोई मुझसे मिलने नहीं आया, कोई बात तक नहीं करने आया, and I think the big dialogue is, उसके लिए मैं आपको कभी माफ नहीं कर सकती. I can't ever forgive you for that thing. And saying that in public, where everyone is looking at you, everyone is hearing you, I think it seems small, but it feels so big in the context of the film. It's just the fact that all the voice that's been completely submerged, right, inside a person, being able to actually express it, it feels like everything has changed in that moment, in that scene at least. I think that's what, I think the effectiveness of that film lies, and I always describe this, it's a great middle class female empowerment film, because I think it really does the middle class, like the comparisons with Tanvi Azmi's character, with Ratna Pathak Shah's character, both of whom are like the anchors, I think the secondary anchors, apart from Taapsee Pannu, are fantastic. I think like those stories as to why they have chosen to become the way they are is very sympathetic. Like it's not like, oh, see what villains they are. Like they're so regressive in the attitude. Like that attitude never comes through. It's always the fact that they are very. There's a reason why they are like that. It's not just. Just that they want to be evil, right? So I think that, and again, it's going back to the fact very much that Ashwani's talked about the complexities, and how you're digging deeper into something that maybe films don't decide to dig deeper into, and which is why I think some people didn't like it. I've heard so many people in and around my family say that just one slap, which is very ironic considering the poster of the film. It says that question in like bold letters or whatever. So like
But then again, I want to listen to a better criticism than the orthodox criticism of just one slap or anything like that. Because frankly speaking, I have not come across a very.
I mean, it is not even a criticism.
Yeah, it's not a criticism.
It's not a criticism. It's like sheer stupidity to, even claim like this is a criticism.
Yeah, but answer should be obviously. Someone says obviously. But what I was saying that I am yet to come across a very well-rounded criticism of this film, barring this thing, and I think the keyword would be comprehensive, right? So every issue that you might have with Article 15 or Mulk, somehow Sinha is redeeming them in Thappad. Now,
sort of,
so rather than taking the position of a savior, he is taking an observational gaze, right? That is first thing. Second thing, rather than focusing solely on Amrita, he is putting different types of characters existing in the same society. In Diya Mirza or the lawyer or
her character
mother,
is really lovely.
Her mother-in-law and Vidya Olan, Geetika Vidya Olan's character. So it's a very comprehensive way to do it, because you are trying to represent everyone, and you are trying to put, because they all exist in the same universe, so you have the opportunity to make the case for them. And another thing that he does quite good is that like he does not fall into the commercial trappings. When the montage started of her routine, I knew that this is going to be a montage, but I thought that okay, he will end this after 2 or 3 repetitions. But he does not do so. He does that for quite a while, which is not commercial at all, and there are no loud music or anything and any disturbance. It's just happening, repeating, and it's very
you know what was surprising? That party scene. Okay. I'm surprised they didn't put like an original song like playing and everything. They just use like whatever was.
What's the song's lyrics?
It's the
my
song
problem
from Badhai Ho, which is like Morni 1K and
Morni 1K, right? I'm fairly obsessed with Thappad because I had to do an essay on it. So I've watched it too many times. So I know what song was playing, and I was trying to analyze why he used that song also. And it's very interesting because in the context of the film, that song is very like objectifying the woman character and everyone's celebrating and dancing and everything, and it's like it feels very layered the more you dig deeper into it, and kind of like that, which is so go ahead. I can keep rattling on about Thappad for like 2-3 hours.
I'd love to hear that actually, because I mean okay, so talking about qualities, I guess this is again a radical stance. I completely believe in all men theory. It's all men. I don't tread with the not all men thing. I believe all men because every man is either an enabler or a direct oppressor in some way or another. Even me. I mean, I am not absolving myself. I have been so bad in so many situations. And Thappad does that. I mean, Thappad does not absolve any single man from the narrative. There is every person and there are shortcomings. Even the liberal father of Amrita.
Yeah.
I mean,
that scene with
Ratna
Ratna
Bhattacharya, and she says that you did not let me or something like that. I mean, probably that was the high point for me in the film because
definitely.
That is the moment when he made it 100% rather than keeping it 99 and there is one good man against all bad men. No. There are every people, every individual. They have done it.
I mean, this is why I really like Thappad also. I'm talking like purely technical point of view now. Like this is why it succeeds purely because its screenplay is so well written. Like each and every scene feels so well earned. Like this father scene, Kumar Mishra scene is really well earned. Even the one with Tanvi Azmi, like it is like proper culmination to that whole point, right? Rather than that whole like a scene which I didn't like in Article 15 was the one where he's like talking to every cop and like asking what is your jat and what is your caste and what is your caste.
360 degree.
Which is which I didn't like it because it was like it came out of nowhere because I didn't like the idea that it had to be done at this point. I thought it could have not been there or it could have been placed anywhere else in the film. It wouldn't have mattered to me because it wasn't well earned at that point because that frustration didn't come out to me as well. But here that whole like it's just she's like properly breaking down and like literally telling her, and this happens another point in the film as well, like where they get out of that lawyer's cabin, right? And she's walking and then she tells her husband, okay, you can call, like you can put charges against me as a drunkard and as a manic because that is all. And then at that point she also like lets go of whatever she was like keeping in till that point because until then she was like still a little silent on her part of on her stance as well. Like in a way she was like always subduing, like okay, let's not talk about it,
and props to Taapsee actually. I know she's recently she's gotten a bit flack for a movie she did. Just to say that
is why I really like because every scene feels well earned because, and this is all just like thinking back about that film. At that point you don't realize if it's good or bad, but something, if you don't pick it out while watching, I think it's like done really well.
I think Taapsee is I mean, I don't hold her as that great an actor, but whatever she is capable of, I guess Thappad was the high point of that. I mean, she was utilized.
Definitely
she was utilized. Probably she will not be utilized in the same manner, or probably she will be asked to do the same thing again and again. I don't know.
She probably the latter, probably the latter.
She's done a certain set of, like, her acting is very identifiable in a sense.
It is very,
I mean, she's sort of playing like, in a way, she's playing like an extension of her personality only in the last
Pacino is also identifiable, but then again, these people somehow bring something of their own.
Yeah, there is, like, all of them are doing something. Like, you can't say, like, what he was doing in Panic in the Needle Park and Godfather are the same things, right?
Yeah. Taapsee has to put some effort. I mean, I should not be taking this stance that I'm not anyone to tell her what to do. But then again, as an audience, I think I'll be bored in the long run watching the same thing.
I mean, Man Marziya and Thappad, like Thappad mein obviously, like, see, if you give her a good director, I think she'll be able to do well, like what she did with Anubhav Sinha and with Anurag Kashyap. I mean, more or less. But in other films, I don't think so. She's gotten that kind of direction in terms of her acting with respect to that character.
No, I even think, like, in her acting sometimes this has gone from like appreciation to like criticism, but okay, but very quickly that also. But it's just I think her acting sometimes, you can see some of the effort. Especially in the scenes where she's emoting, like especially in Mulk, she has one shot where I was like, really? Firstly, I was like, really, Anubhav Sinha, did you not cut it? Okay. Like, why would you keep that particular shot?
Which
one? This is after she like gets the verdict out of Danish, the Rajat Kapoor character, and she goes like fist bumping towards the lawyer, and I was like,
That
really?
happens?
Like, yeah,
I
and
don't-
was
I
like,
didn't
you
remember this at all.
You put that in the film, like really, like that's so like weird, but yeah, it's. Yeah, it's a very awkward moment.
Yeah.
But in Thappad, I really like her. It's the whole subdued thing, right? I think.
Yeah.
Going from
I mean, yeah,
subdued
that is why I
to-
told you, like, if given a good director, he can like
Yeah.
sort of direct her into that character really well.
Yeah.
But that's like a very given, provided she's given a good director.
I mean, yeah.
Sinha is also doing one thing good in Thappad, that he is not trying to. I mean, he's writing something that he knows better. The class is not so different from his own, I guess.
I mean, yeah. We can
You
get to the
didn't
criticism
like
of
the
Thappad.
whole maid aspect, right?
I think the Olian character. I mean, I think he fluffs it very badly. Actually.
Probably,
and it's
that is the room where you have the, for criticism. But
Yeah.
I you can be glad that she is not the protagonist, because otherwise that
Yeah.
would have been an abomination.
Yeah. No, but I just think it's such a strange decision, because he lays he and let's point also the writer also is Mrunmayee Lagu, right? The
that's the old
daughter
lady
of
who-
Rima
who
Lagu.
wrote it, yeah.
Yeah. So they lay out a very good potential conflict between those characters.
Okay.
There's one really well shot scene, where she is like a mirror image of Gitika Vidya Olan's character. This is after the slap, and she's attending to Vikram, and Vikram is like, he says something about something about her role in his life. And she looks at Gitika Vidya Olan, and there's like a almost mirror image of both of them, suggesting that she is the maid, which is something which is also explored in that Zoya Akhtar short film in Lust Stories. It begins with the couple having sex, and you don't know if they are maid and husband or wife and husband, right? Kind of that angle. And but the film kind of forgets the Gitika Vidya Olan character. Like, it just forgets it, and it's her character just feels like it is inserted to have that. Like, I really
I mean, they're going
don't
for
like
the whole spectrum of women, right?
I know.
I mean, so
I know,
it
I know.
makes sense they put that character, I think.
I know. I just feel the resolution to her story is so unsatisfying. Like, she looks at them and she just puts her money down there, and like, oh, I learned my lesson. Like, I shouldn't be taking bribes because this is the true way of, like, there's a lot of difference between. So there's the class difference, right? Where it's like, how can she have similar resolutions against her husband that Taapsee had against her husband? Like, there's other levels to it. It's just, I'm wanting more complexity. I understand I'm greedy that way. But if you've introduced that conflict, that's why I'm wanting it.
I mean, just get through with it properly, right? Rather than just falling for a resolution.
Or the fact that, and in a way, it's critical to Taapsee's character that she never sees anything about Gitika Vidya Olan's character. Like, she never notices it.
Yeah.
She never sympathizes with her pity or like her condition. One of the first scenes in the montage is where she very casually says that, oh, aaj ke naya drama hai. Like, in the sense that when her husband beat her, for Taapsee, it was
But
like,
isn't
oh,
it also like a given thing that this happens all the time, right? So it's like,
It is.
she can't do anything about it.
No, but that's the thing. So even after the realization, she never does anything about it. Like,
That makes
so
sense.
it's like you can go there. Like, the fact that
for
these
sure,
people are can't comprehend the lower classes problem here. You can go there, I think, and leave it unresolved. Sometimes leaving stuff unresolved is a way of commenting, I think.
Probably a better
like
way.
It helps.
Yeah.
Probably better way. Incomplete stories have a way of like allowing us to fill in the blanks, right? Kind of like that.
So isn't Sinha doing this that until it happened with her, she was really complacent, because it was a routinely thing, the drama thing, right? Like you said. But then it happened with her. Even if it was not comparable in terms of frequency or intensity, it did happen. And that shook her. So I agree that that should have taken her places. I mean, she could have ventured into different things, and there should have been a resolution. But then again, that would have also risked the film becoming preachy in nature, which it otherwise isn't.
No, I mean, I thought, like, see, again, I'm being the cynical person. I'm to just, like, leave that. Like, leave the whole arc only. Like, leave it as in the sense that leave it unresolved.
Better resolution than, just trying to conclude it forcefully at some point.
Yeah, like, it feels like it wants to conclude it neatly. And I think that effort to conclude it neatly feels very unnatural.
Wasn't there one scene with the maid where she's like, try to stab me or something like that?
With the husband.
With the husband, right?
Who's very caricaturish a little bit. So,
exactly,
whatever.
I that is the only scene that I can recall, more or less.
Even the lawyer story is a little bit too veering on caricature, I think.
Lawyer one is caricature, I'll agree.
Lawyer one, definitely, yeah. That is what I did like
badly.
More than... Yeah.
It happens, but then it is written badly because somewhere around you forgot the nuance. I mean, you got so involved with other character that you just forgot to write this.
I mean, you can't blame him also or the writer here, because the other characters are genuinely, like, the Diya Mirza character is lovely. I think she's like 4 scenes. Like, all of those are really well written, and I think one of her really powerful scenes is when she just shuts off Vikram in a very pointed way, and I really love her reply in that scene.
I mean, I did not have much concern about the resolution of Geetika's character because this is, I guess, one thing which I would appreciate, because Taapsee was complacent as a character to her plight, and she did not turn her after what happened to her, but the journey that she took, that somehow somehow affected Geetika, and probably whatever she does after that, she does it because this was put into her mind that okay, I see this person who is going after her husband because he slapped him. Maybe my situation is not the same, but then I can at least do something. So I guess that's when happens this knife scene, right?
No, I mean, sorry, I get it. Like, I get the intended effect. I just don't like the resolution. Like, I just think the resolution to me feels very... Like, when I watched it, 1 or 2 times, I was just like, it just doesn't work. Like, I just think, to me, like, those scenes with her husband and everything just feel a little too sanitized. Or dharmatized, or whatever you want to say it like that, which is like the sanitized other word.
The only appreciation that I am trying to give here is that Anubhav Sinha did not take away the agency of Geetika's character by making Taapsee her savior.
Oh, definitely. I mean, in a way, it's a critique of Taapsee's character, right?
In a way it is. And I am glad that he did not make Taapsee the savior of Geetika. Because if you actually imagine, Taapsee's social position can allow her to be the savior.
Of course,
But a woman like her is so caught up in her own problems, like every woman is, that she does not take the role. And then, be it subconsciousness or unconscious, decision, and Geetika retains her agency. So, I'll give that.
No, definitely, I agree.
And one more thing. I guess this film, like Mulk is out loud, and Mulk is also didactic. It's very preachy, and it's preaching you, and that's why the effect wears out in the long run, even though you are shaken up.
That for sure,
In Thappad, it is observational, so the Thappad film is not preaching anything. Everything is happening, you are observing. Like, I personally felt this, that I had to recollect every single instance of my conversation with the women around me. And whether I have been the enabler or whether I have oppressed the people around me in some way, and I was triggered. I was pushed into that intro and retrospection. Right?
Yeah, I mean, whichever film does that is like, I think that's that in itself is like very few films have that effect. So
and there is not a single statement here for the all. I mean, there is not a generic statement actually. Every single individual who's watching, most of them will have introspection, and they will do it in their own way. So they also have the liberty to think. They are not being patronized. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just a little bit less on the observational, because I think whenever the second half of this film starts, I think it's quite didactic actually. I think, at least with the scenes with the lawyer, I think it is fairly speechy. I think there is a lot of speechy going. Maybe it's done more naturally. That's a different scenario. But I think there's a lot of speeches. Like, I think it repeats itself fairly a lot, and I think
it does.
In the Tapsi argument of things. But again, I don't mind it. I just think it is. It does have that sort of mulk element into it. It's just subdued more than.
Done well.
I mean,
basically.
I guess.
I won't say that it's completely observational. It's not an art house piece anyway.
Yeah.
But then it is also probably subdued or more quiet. Not that loud.
It is. Yeah, definitely.
You know.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And not with that frequency that I'll keep on doing it until it gets into your head. It's not like that.
It isn't. Yeah, I will definitely agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Closing thoughts on Anubhav Sinha before we, wrap it up.
Cool guy. Cool guy.
I don't think so. He'll get to make something like Thappad anytime soon, I think.
I don't think he'll get back to doing it. It's an action thriller.
Yeah, which was
he's
very
making
surprising
but I didn't know
to me.
It's an action thriller.
I was like, wow.
Anek, starring Ayushman.
I know that much, but I didn't know it was an action thriller. Wow.
Someone said it's like more like a political thriller, which would make sense. Action thriller would mean he is making cash too.
He's making dust too. You can be, optimistic about it.
That's why it is Anek. There was 10 and now they are...
Oh, it's called Anek. Okay, from dust. Yes, got it. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I think he won't get to making like the quality of Thappad again. I think he's peaked. He won't peak
You think
anymore.
he's peaked? Now
Beyond
he's
this.
going to fall
Peaking
back to the
beyond
grave.
this is basically you're becoming the next Anurag Kashyap, which is like highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Or like
I
choked.
mean, like the earlier phase of Anurag Kashyap.
Okay, yeah.
But this Anek, like any other genre film, even Article 15 is not considered a political thriller. People write it like crime drama.
It isn't. It's a thriller mystery type.
Yeah, and I am highly I'll place my bets that Anek also will turn out to be some social signaling thing.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think there'll be any I don't think he can make anything now because of his brand that won't have like social stuff attached to it.
Yeah,
which is kind of our fault, or like not our fault, but like kind of like everyone. Like the cinephile critical community's fault, who kind of boxes people in already. Like, we
tag them
have
under
that
a
ability.
category.
You tag them, and then I know even if they don't read anything, but like whatever, if they read, then of course it'll have an effect. But like even if they don't read, I think it's just a subconscious.
They don't have to reach. The noise reaches there. I mean, if they
exactly,
they must be hearing from people around that his political nature is something that is clicking with the new generation. Even if they are the same people who are criticizing him, he will keep on doing it. I think like Sanjeet.
I mean, I think he seems like a person who will very much be like, oh, they're criticizing me, I'll double down on my politics. Like, I think he seems like one of those people. Like, at least from his interviews, where it's like, I'll double down now. Just it's like I'm not comparing Lars von Trier and this guy Anubhav Sinha, but von Trier also does it, right?
Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Von Trier, and I mean, it's all about social violence, Sanjeet.
No, I was actually thinking in my head, Von Trier and both, they look physically also a little same, right?
Similar, yeah. I mean, Von Trier is much more like, this won't go into the recording in any case, right? So it's fine.
Yeah, hopefully.
What do you mean, hopefully? You're not putting my Lars von Trier and Anubhav Sinha comparison here, boss. I'm gonna get fucking done for that.
Did we stop recording?
No.
Ours was on.
Continue.
It was,
Anyway, it's going to be like going to wrap it up now.
Done only, right?
Yeah. And it was a good conversation.
Yeah. I mean, so in closing thoughts, Anubhav Sinha shouldn't make or should make stuff like Thappad.
He should make movies. Of course, he should make movies.
No, he should make stuff like Thappad is what I'm saying.
He should take he should take a radical
We'll
stance.
fund him, right, Sanjeet? For Thappad 2. We'll fund him for Thappad 2 then.
Yeah, Thappad 2.
Somehow.
Thappad 3, Thappad release.
Ek aur Thappad.
But yeah, I'm quite happy, like, the fact that Thappad worked for a lot of people, and at least the people who I like Thappad, more or less.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I mean, unanimously we all agreed on Thappad being the only film that has,
But that's good.
worked in the longer run, and Mulk hasn't. But
we've talked about this before, right?
Yeah.
To me, at least, it's very interesting the fact that you can have disagreements about films. Like it's really boring to have like everyone being like, "Oh, this film is great." Like, I mean, that doesn't mean someone needs to just be a contrarian, but like films that divide opinions are always welcome. Like, why
definitely.
not? Like,
no doubt about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My closing thoughts would be that Sinha should make a few genre films, purely genre films. I mean, it's not a prerequisite. I am not saying these are political times, so you have to be political. But do it in the subtext rather than do it on my face.
I don't think that's happening, Ashwani.
I'll edit this part and send it to him. Don't worry. Okay. So this was a really good conversation. Ashwani, do you want to plug in your Instagram handle or your Letterboxd handle where you publish your reviews?
Yeah, I'll I mean, if people want to read what I write, then Letterboxd is the best place. My username would be TRAST_AKT. And one thing that I would like people to go through probably would be my review of Thappad on High On Films. I mean, it's one of the good pieces that I wrote, I think. And again, Thappad is a film that I like, so probably I would like people to read. And I would love if people come to me with argument, because I really want to engage in arguments rather than
like good arguments, right? Not
obviously
just like
good arguments.
abuses.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
I'm done. I was just.
Thank you for this conversation. For everyone who's listening, thank you for supporting us all throughout. Follow us on Spotify, follow us on Instagram, support us in any way possible. You can DM us your recommendations that you'd like us to talk about. You can follow Dhruv on his Instagram handle, Terminal Cinema, and check out his website, which has a lot of other great reviews as well.
The same thing, yeah.
This is the episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Khatam.
Thank you, Sanjeet.
But I'm never
So cheese is the compromise.
Cheese is a compromise.
Okay.
I mean, to put it harshly.
Right.
Like I told you the other day that, that shot of an upper caste hero walking with the Dalit girl in his arms, according to me, was a compromise which I had to make, because creating a hero was allowing me to say a whole lot of other things in the film. So a lot of people did have a problem with the gaze of the film, and I agree with them. I don't disagree with them. That's a way to look at it. But that allowed the film to reach out to 70-80 lakh people in theaters and add so much more on OTT platforms and television.